Welcome, lovely listeners, to SoulStirred, stories of growth and the human experience. I'm Emily Garcia.
And I'm Kasey Clark.
We will be your guides on this journey. We are so glad you are here.
Each week, we'll come together, sometimes with other incredible thinkers, creators, and adventurers, to generously share stories of self-discovery, recovery, triumph, and what it means to live a life on purpose.
No matter where you are in your own journey, connection is here for you at SoulStirred.
Settle in, take a deep breath in, and let's inspire each other.
Welcome to SoulStirred.
Hello, welcome back to Tribe Talks. Today on Tribe Talks, we are going to channel a little playfulness and curiosity and creativity to show the powerful impact that these attributes can have on building connection. And because we feel like it really is what we practice in our tribe therapy offices, is holding people in a space of curiosity and creativity, inviting them to consider what haven't we thought of? How else could we perceive this situation in a way that might have us feeling a little bit better? Emily and I are longing for connection with each other and with our SoulStirred audience. And so we're going to use playfulness and creativity to help build connection. Away we go. Are you ready, Emily?
I'm ready.
I love this question. Let's just start here. Tell us, what makes you weird?
So I feel like there are a variety of things that make me weird. One is that I have a voice in my head for every dog I encounter. I have a voice and an accent for I talk like the dog, and my family probably thinks it's so ridiculous. But if I'm around, let's say Duncan, I will have I can't do it right now because I'm not seeing him, but I will be like, oh, he's saying, blah, 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 and I say it. I also think I am the funniest person, and I have humor that no one else laughs at, but I think it's hilarious. And I will think something and then maybe say it out loud to someone, and I will laugh until I cry, even if they're looking at me with stone face and think it's not funny at all. So I like my weirdness.
Yeah, because you can hear the sound of a dog's voice. And I'm curious, is it like you're imagining what the dog is thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
Always. I always have commentary for what the dog is saying. So the dog is laying around and you go to pet it and it jumps up and I'm like, it's going, oh, what do you want right now? I have a sound.
I love this.
And it's not, it can be similar, but it's not the same for every dog because they all have their own personality and I can see it.
Okay.
I feel it.
Yeah. It's like you and the dog's soul are connecting and communicating with each other. Have you seen that Dennis Quaid movie, A Dog's Purpose?
Yes, I read the book and watched the movie.
I love that movie because it does what you're saying, right? It gives you the voice inside the dog. And then I do the same thing, especially with Duncan.
Do?
Yes, I always attributed it to this movie, but I communicate with him. I can hear him saying, Mom, please don't go out the door without me. Why can't I go with you? I'm allowed to come with you in the car. How does she decide when she's going to take me along and when she's going to leave me home?
Yeah.
I communicate in dog. Yeah.
I love this about you.
Of course we do. We're dog people and we're connected humans. And so it makes sense. I love that.
I just saw a t-shirt that said, sorry, I'm late. I saw a dog. That would be my sheet. That would be my shirt.
Yeah. And I had to stop and rub it and pet it and be with it and experience it. Oh, you're adorable. Yeah. And I still am hearing the signals of you need another dog in your life. Since losing Squirrel.
Yeah.
Your heart has been in dogland since that loss.
Totally.
I think eventually you're going to have to fill that void.
Thankfully, there are lots of dogs around me. And so I've gotten to watch friends' dogs, and that fills the void a little bit without having all of the responsibility. But you're right. I am constantly going, ooh, what dogs are at this rescue? What dog is there? I'm checking them all out.
Yeah. I can tell you, as you know, I have been through something of a tumultuous and somewhat hard, like last chapter of my life over the last 3 or 4 years. And I swear, if it weren't for my dog, I'm not sure I would have survived the hard
Yeah.
that I have been through. But he has been my constant companion, my soulmate, my best friend.
Mm.
I have a friend who has a bumper sticker on her car that says dogs because people suck.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
and it's not that I mean to like broad brush paint all people that they suck, but the truth really is sometimes dogs really are better. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a great listener. He lets me
Mhm.
say and feel however I need to say and feel, and he never judges and he never interrupts.
Mhm.
He's always ready to be by my side, whether it's for a walk or a snuggle or a nap or some playtime.
Yeah.
And really when I've had a hard time, just like with being human, he reminds me to take care of myself,
Mm.
because it's like, it's time to eat. We shouldn't go all day without eating. If you're going to feed me, maybe it's time to feed you too. It's time to
Yeah.
move our bodies, and he won't take no for an answer. He'll poke me with his paws, like, here's my leash. Let's get out for a walk. We're not just
Come
going to
on,
lay around
lady.
like couch
Let's go.
potatoes. Yeah.
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 And he comes with such pure adoration
Yeah.
for you.
Adoration. And you know what? I love what you're pointing to there. I feel this. It's like I can hear that voice inside his head when we make eye contact with each other. He looks so vulnerable to me
Mm.
and he trusts me so
Mhm.
completely. Anything I give him to put in his mouth, he'll take in his mouth and trust that I know that it's safe for him. The
Yeah.
vulnerability of that, and the trust that comes from the vulnerability of that, I think is really the space where love grows. And it's
Mhm.
all unconditional, right? Like, I don't always get it right. I'm not always the best dog owner. Sometimes I would rather finish the movie than get up and go for the walk right now. And he's
Right.
like, okay, I'll climb up and curl up next to you and we can lay here a little bit longer.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I love you just as much.
mhm, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't diminish our relationship or how I feel about you, no matter what you do. I'm still here
Mm.
for you, and I know that you're here for me. It's for free, and it's no matter what.
Maybe that's part of why I love dogs so much, is because we have so much to learn from them
Yeah.
about how they show up. Because dogs don't create stories about us when we disappoint them.
Mm-hmm.
They quickly let it go
Mm-hmm.
and still love us
Yeah.
and decide, like, okay, well, next, I'm just as happy to see you and be with you.
Yeah. Yeah. That must be what my friend's bumper sticker means.
Hmm.
Dogs, because people suck. It's not
Yeah.
really that people suck, it's just that dogs don't make up stories.
Yeah.
They love you unconditionally for free, no matter what, always.
Hmm.
So long as you love them too,
Yeah.
and treat them like the honoring member of your family that they deserve to be. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, dogs.
Yeah. They reciprocate.
Hmm. It's reciprocal and mutual
Hmm.
and unwavering
Hmm.
and unconditional. Dog love. Who knew?
Yeah. Dog love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Want another question?
Ready.
Okay. What's your superpower?
The easy answer is sleep. I am a super sleeper. I can sleep anywhere, anytime. Like, if I get in a car and I want to go to sleep, I can fall asleep in the car. This is a thing that I actually did not in the too distant past. When my son was probably 3 years old, we were at a Rockies game with family,
Uh-huh.
and it was hot. And so we went up and they had like this seating area that was kind of in the shade. And my sister and my daughter and my nephew and I were sitting there, and he fell asleep on my lap and I fell asleep in the middle of a Rockies game,
Wow.
crowds everywhere, music and noise. And I slept for a while.
Wow.
I'm a pro sleeper.
Wow. And you can do it obviously anywhere, no matter what's happening around you and the noise and the crowd and the
Yeah.
whatever, and then wake up and what? Feel rested and revived and
Well, and just like, oh, okay. Like, time to go. I
okay,
don't always feel rested when I wake up,
all right.
but in that situation, yeah.
But you can sleep anywhere
Yep.
and it serves you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
What is your superpower?
Ah, what is my superpower? You know, I have I'm not sure that I know how to articulate my superpower in a way that'll have it make sense to everyone, but it has to do with the ability that my brain has to make connections.
Mm.
So it's almost like if you I'll use a metaphor, like if life and human relationships were a puzzle, I am almost immediately able to build the frame and see how the pieces want to fit together based on the color pattern or the image pattern, like you do when you're setting up or getting started to make a puzzle.
Yeah.
My mind can do that with a person and or group of people very quickly, where I can see what's trying to happen, what's trying to fit, what needs to be known or said in order for those fits to come together. Um, Am I articulating that well? Is it making
Your
sense?
superpower sounds way cooler than mine. I just have to say, I'm like, that's way more useful.
Well, the world needs both of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's yeah, I really think that's it because it's the one part of me that I think is unique. And you've heard it said when I'm with people, they're like, wow, the words you use and the way that you make things
Yeah.
come
It's
together
true.
is really kind of mind blowing.
Hmm.
And it just happens for me naturally. But you know what? I attribute it a little bit to something most people would think of as a dysfunction of me, which because I think that this attribute of mine is relative to having ADD.
Mm. Hmm.
Because for me, from the inside, the way that I've understood myself and knowing that part of myself is that I have ADD, is that there are parts of my brain that just seem to click into place more quickly
Yeah.
than what happens for, a regular human, I guess you could say, or a person without ADD. And maybe it's the gap in my brain that is the ADD part where that information is able to find, logic and sense. I'm not sure how else to explain it except to say that I think that my superpower is something that some systems and schools of thought would define as a dysfunction.
Right.
Um,
Well, here's the thing about ADHD is that it it doesn't fit in a box, and
right.
the way that you think
Yeah.
isn't like something that you can go, this is your lane,
Hmm.
and you can't be categorized.
Yeah.
And so it can be seen as problematic, especially for children.
Hmm.
But when you become an adult
Hmm.
and you can think a little more freely, it really does allow you to be creative and creative in a way that works for you and helps the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny that you use the language in a box because that's been my, like, I don't fit into boxes.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've never been able to fit into boxes. And I know when I'm trying to put myself into a box because I can feel the constraint of that
Right.
and immediately want to break free of it. And I think it's so that this kind of open and connected feeling and thinking can occur. But
Hmm.
as soon as I feel a limit closing in on that openness, it feels like a trap to me that I have to break free from so that I can keep building these connections and putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your
Cool.
kryptonite? If sleep is your superpower, what's your kryptonite?
You know what's interesting is I almost said it out loud when I was talking about sleep, but um, there's another kryptonite. But I will say sleep has a downside. It is a double-edged sword.
Mm,
Is that when I get upset, I want to go to sleep.
mm-hmm.
I automatically like it's like my brain shuts down and I just go, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And it like a sheet of sleepiness will come over me and I tune everything out. So in one way, sleep is both my superpower and my kryptonite.
Yeah.
However, I would say my kryptonite is sometimes my own self-talk.
Mm.
The like, am I not enough for that? And
Mm.
holding myself back
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way that I talk to myself is my kryptonite. And it's not always. I really do work on talking to myself in a kind way and giving myself grace.
Yeah.
However, there is that inner critic in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we all have one, right?
Hmm.
And that voice can come up even when you're not looking or noticing. And then you have to find your path back to know that voice isn't telling you the truth.
Right.
What is the truth? Yeah. What do you make of the fact that your body immediately wants to pull on a blanket full of sleep when it feels upset?
This is
What's
so
going on there?
interesting because when we did the polyvagal theory training
Yeah.
and we learned about your nervous system ladder,
Yeah.
when my nervous system goes into shutdown,
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens to me. I shut down and I can't interact. I can't do it then. And so it really is that my nervous system is like, nope, no more for you right now.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. We're going to sleep so that we
Yeah.
can rest, so that we can recover. Like, this situation is more than we can tolerate, so we will rest.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's the craziest thing because I have been in situations where, like, for example, one time I was at a Subway and a woman walked in and she started screaming at the staff about how they didn't make her sandwich correctly. Like, she was screaming at them and it was totally irrational.
mm-hmm.
It Nothing about it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew this, but I walked out of there and I got in my car and I was like, I wanted to go to sleep. The conflict that wasn't even involving me, it was involving other people, upset me so much that I wanted to go to sleep.
And did you close your eyes in the
I
car?
went home and went to bed. I was like, 3 blocks from my house. I
Yeah.
went home and went to bed.
Yeah. Well, it really sounds almost like a stress-induced narcolepsy or something.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like this
Yeah.
is what you're nervous. And I wonder if that's what was going on for you that day at the Rockies game. Had you become
Yeah, maybe
overwhelmed
it's
by
like
the crowd or the noise,
sensory overload.
the heat? Yeah, the sensory overload.
Hmm.
And for you and your son, let's just take a nap now in the middle of all of this so that our nervous system can recover.
Yeah,
Huh.
maybe.
Wow. So your superpower really is a superpower because it's your nervous system acting to keep you alive and help you survive.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you find it
Yeah.
fascinating? I'm fascinated by that.
I do find it fascinating. It's not always something I want, though,
Yeah.
which is why I say it's my kryptonite. That
Yeah.
there are times where I'm like, I need to be awake right now.
Yeah.
I cannot go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, and it
Yeah.
also makes me wonder, like, how you've overcome this in your life, because you do things now like give keynote speeches, which for most humans would be a nervous system overload,
Hmm.
right? But you can't go take a nap before you take the stage.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't see it as a threat. Like, I know my adrenaline gets pumping,
uh-huh.
but it's like exciting and scary, but not threatening.
Okay. So it really is around conflict.
It's around conflict.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, because when I go to give a speech,
Mhm.
I'm always nervous beforehand.
Yeah, but that's a different
But I'm also
chemicals,
excited.
right?
And then I leave and I feel like I'm like floating.
Charged.
Like, it makes me feel so excited and like afterward. But if I'm around people who are fighting, arguing, there's like some kind of disagreement, it takes everything out of me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so the stimulus has to be
Yeah.
something that gives you a charge, not something that drains you.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something that drains you, your body is going to go to sleep
True.
to avoid
Yes.
it and then to recover from it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What's your kryptonite?
Wow. I'm still in fascination about yours. The first thing that comes to mind as you ask me that question, it's probably similar to yours because I think it has to do with the stories that I tell myself, the limiting beliefs
Mm-hmm.
that I hold about myself, are probably my kryptonite. And this has been coming up for me more and more. You and I were talking before we started recording today about this multitude of synchronicities that we've
Mm-hmm.
been seeing and experiencing in the world, especially over the last few days, both of us. And one of the things that I have been hearing or paying particularly close attention to as I'm listening is people complimenting me, people saying things to me about the impact that I am having on them or the impact that I have had on them over the
Right.
years. And it's almost as if I'm hearing the words for the first time. And there's a part of me, like in my mind, that knows that's not true, that of course people have loved and appreciated me, over time in many ways. But that my own limiting beliefs maybe got in the way of me.
We're filtering
We're
it.
filtering it in a way that I couldn't actually hear it all the way in. Have you heard words before that people are saying to you about you, and like you can hear the words happening, but they kind of scroll by your face, but they don't go all the way down and into your body?
Right.
Now that I'm listening in a way that wants to sort of take those limiting beliefs and put them on a shelf, the words are coming in and going all the way into my body in a way that's like, wow. I had several clients just last week, that during some part of the session were like, wow, you helped me so much. I'm so grateful for the way that you make me feel so seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because of hearing things like that that make me able to sit here with you today and in front of SoulStirred and own that that's part of my superpower. I
Yeah.
am really quite gifted at helping
Mm-hmm.
people to feel really seen, um, and then to feed that back to them in a way that filters it through love. And so I think my kryptonite has been my own lack of belief in that truth.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's shifting right now in
Yeah.
this moment.
Yeah.
Um, and I could also say discipline. I have like some routine and habit changes that I want to make, and I really do want,
Mm-hmm.
to make changes and to be different on the other side of change. And then it feels like it's something in the arena of discipline that gets in my
Right.
way. Um, but even as I say that to you, I can walk that back up and see how really it's all stemming from more of a limited belief.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we talked about this a little bit in another recording, that I'm now using this method of, what does my future self want me to do next? Does it want me to continue to sit and tell myself that I need rest and recovery more than I need exercise or a pickleball game? Or will my future self be happy if I conjure up the fuel that it's going to take to get myself up and out and moving?
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm gonna land on limiting beliefs because I think it all goes back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think limiting beliefs are probably the kryptonite for most people
Yeah. Yeah.
because we, it's like you have a thought and you think it enough and it becomes a belief
Mm-hmm.
and you believe it enough
Yeah.
that it becomes part of your personality.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, yeah, I'm not a person who can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that in me. And really, it is just like going, okay, well, I'm going to choose to think differently over and over and over and over to create a new belief,
Yeah.
which creates a new personality.
Yeah.
But it's, there's no like one thing or one big thing you can do that changes it. It is like proving to yourself over and over and over and choosing to have the thought that isn't aligned with how you have been believing and seeing
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, and I think even before we can get to what thought am I choosing, folks first need to start listening to
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I thinking? that is helping to create this reality I'm currently in that I may or may not want to be in.
And is that my own thought, or is that something that was passed to
Yeah.
me by someone
Hmm.
else and I just didn't think, is this true or not?
Yeah.
Because you just automatically assumed it was truth.
Right. Well, and we get shaped by all sorts of thoughts external to us, right? Our parents, our teachers, our churches, our
Hmm.
societies.
Hmm.
So many. Well, I don't want to talk about so many other people. I'll say it from my own experience. I spent so much of my own life feeding my sense of like rightness in the world based on whether or not I was receiving external validation or affirmation, that
Hmm.
eventually then those thoughts became my own thoughts.
Right.
But it took a whole bunch of like slowing down, listening more deeply, and then discerning, do these belong to me? Where did these come from? Are they in my DNA, like from past generations? Was I shaped by the media and marketing? Was it the churches that I was brought up in? Like, they
Hmm.
don't feel right to me. And so I need to evaluate whether or not these thoughts belong to me.
Hmm.
I think that's where the process, at least for me, began. And not just, owning them and believing them because they're inside your own head.
Yeah.
Practice the pause. Get curious with yourself too.
Right.
And then choose the thoughts that are in service of you becoming your
Hmm.
highest and greatest good. Um, Even if, like without regard to what other people might think about that. Trust that your
Yeah.
body will know the truth of it when your mind and your heart and your body all feel like they're aligning and going, yeah, that thought felt good to me. That feels right and true and like
Hmm.
something healthy. Follow that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's liberating when you choose for
yeah,
yourself, because ultimately it doesn't matter what anyone says about us, whether good or bad. And I think, we talk all the time about, like, it doesn't matter what people say about you when it's a negative thing, but does it also matter what they're saying about us? Because that's from their frame of
yeah,
reference. And it is about how we feel about ourselves. It feels good when people say nice things about us, but we have to say nice things about
yeah.
ourselves, because I've caught myself at times going, "Oh, no one has said anything nice about me,
Mm,
and am I not showing up well? Am I not doing a good job?" And then I'm like, maybe they're just not saying it.
yeah,
And do I believe I'm showing up?
yeah,
Do I believe I'm doing the best that I can? Yes. Then compliment myself, be my own biggest cheerleader.
yeah, yeah. Who knows why they're not doing the talking? It could be because they're threatened by the best version of you. It could be because they're so tangled up in their own shit
Yeah.
and
Or
story
it
that they
just hasn't come up.
can't even see you. It could be. I
Yeah.
think in my case, you've heard people talk about it's hard being the strong one because when you're the
Mhm.
strong one, nobody ever asks if you're okay.
Mhm.
That line really resonates with me. I think part of the reason why some people in my life haven't been so free with the appreciation and the compliments is because they perceive that I'm strong. Like
Yeah.
I don't need to hear that information from
Mhm.
outside of me. But dang, isn't it part of being human that we all want to feel like we're important and get to be appreciated and included from time to time, or for other people to let us know when we're having a positive impact? I don't know a single
Yeah.
person that doesn't feel good to, no matter how strong you
Right.
are,
It's
you
true.
know?
It's true.
Yeah. And
Mm.
you bleed us right into another question, which I love, which is, when was the last time you felt truly appreciated?
Hmm. You know, I I can't think of a specific example. However, I will say that my husband is really good at stopping and honoring some things about how I show up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very specific
Mm-hmm.
when he gives me the compliments and appreciation,
Mm-hmm.
and saying, I see how hard you're working in building your business
Mhm.
and the way that you show up for your clients, the way that you show up for your team,
Yeah.
the way that you're putting yourself out there, out totally outside of your comfort zone and doing things that once upon a time you didn't think were possible,
Mhm.
and how tenacious you are. These are all things he has said to me.
Wow.
And when he says these things, I am like, thank you. Like,
Mhm.
you see me and you see how hard I'm working
Mhm.
and how hard it is
Yeah.
sometimes. And so it makes me feel like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah. I think there's
Yeah.
something especially precious too about being appreciated in that sort of very specific way that has you feeling seen by your intimate partner. And what I hear as you describe that to me is your husband adoring and admiring you, the
Yeah.
tenaciousness and resolve and perseverance with which you take on the challenges of being a young female small business owner.
Mhm.
And even when hard things come at you, and I know that hard things come at you in the space of being a young small business owner, female person, you never give up. You just keep getting back in the ring. Like, so what's needed next? And what haven't I thought of? And what haven't I tried? And what risk am I
Mhm.
willing to take? And what investment am I willing to pour into this? Because it's like it's coming from this belief in you of, I know that this is going to be successful. And I know that if I'm not there yet, it's just because I'm not there yet. And so there's
Yeah.
some other thing that I need to overcome or conquer or think of or create to get from where I'm at to this big success. I see that in you too. And it kind of makes me weepy to hear
Mhm.
that he sees
Thank
that and
you.
says that out loud, because of course you deserve to be loved like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
It feels good to be loved like that.
I have to dab my eyes. I'm dripping.
Yeah. And I think the appreciation when it is so specific,
Mhm.
you know, like I see you and here are the ways that I see you feels so good.
Because it feels like it lights up inside your body in a way that feels relevant and true. It's so much more meaty than just being
Mhm.
told like you're great.
Mhm. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, good job.
yeah, or you're awesome.
Thanks.
Like, yeah, I am. And
Yeah.
what part of me does that land with exactly? Could you actually see me in a way that
Yeah.
has my body know that you really saw that it was me? I think that's the thing about appreciation is like, deliver it in a way that is suited to me so that I
Mhm.
will be able to hear that you actually saw me. Like I
Yeah.
did something or created something that others wouldn't have done the way that I did it or in the same way that I approached it, because it was me.
Mhm.
That's what had it being successful. And it sounds like he's got that sorted with you. And I just love that.
Can you recall the last time you felt truly appreciated?
Oh, I'll actually give an example that fits with something we were talking about a minute ago, which is I'm not sure that I fully heard it when it first came in. But I stumbled across it recently, like in the last couple of days, and read it again. And it was
Mhm.
actually a compliment I received from an intimate partner back when we were doing the original photo shoot for our SoulStirred cover. And the message said something to the effect of like the way that you're like you light up the page and you come across with a contentment and a comfort that lights up the space around you. And when I reread those words the other day, and now having done this with you for a few months,
Mhm.
it felt like, wow, that felt like you really saw me
Yeah.
and really felt some sense of like adoration or admiration for me and with me. And
Mhm.
those messages feel like love. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's when it's unexpected too.
Mm-hmm.
I think, when someone just spontaneously and specifically appreciates you,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. And even if you didn't hear it at the time, you can go back and go, wow, that was really wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially, I think these kind of messages are especially important during times when you're crossing some edge or climbing some mountain that you may have some like lack of sureness about yourself or how successful you'll be able to be. I think those are the just right times when we need to receive them from other, when you're doing brave things is a really precious and important time for the people to love you, to make sure that you know that you are loved and you are held, and that maybe they see what is trying to happen in you and how your superpowers are wanting to shine in the world in a way that you might struggle to see for yourself.
Yeah.
I think this is really one of the gorgeous gifts of a relationship, is like when we struggle to find recovery in ourselves is exactly the time that we need to be able to recover to another. Isn't that true when you're doing a hard thing? Like what it can mean to a person who's having trouble reaching the peak of the 14er because the body just feels like it wants to give up and give out, to have a friend
Right.
go, "You're strong. Your legs have made this climb 100 times. They know what to do. Stop thinking and
Yeah.
trust your legs." You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's like that. And for us, when we
That's
were
cool.
creating SoulStirred, we didn't know what we were doing. We
Oh,
decided to
no.
put this out before we had learned what we've learned over the last 9 months. Start right where we are, use what we have. We have conversations that want to be had. We see that people are lonely and we want to help be the medicine, but we're not exactly sure how to get the spoon into the mouth,
It
right?
is progress over perfection, because if you keep waiting to be perfect, you do nothing,
Exactly.
because you don't actually learn by thinking about it and going, "Oh, let me read another article." You learn by doing.
Yes. Yes. Right. We could still be researching how to create a
Mhm.
great podcast and lift it up off the ground if we had decided to do a whole lot of research first. And instead, we
Yeah.
decided to learn through experience,
Yeah.
trial and error, get out and fail, and see what lessons are in the failure for you, and then recover and start again. But metaphorically and literally speaking, those are the moments when it really matters to have a loved one be able to say, you might not be able to see the gifts of you in this moment, but I can see them for you.
Mhm.
And I can see that your light is something that's needed in the world. And when you choose to allow it to shine, it's bright and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to, like invite everybody who may be listening to give those moments away for free when you see
Mm.
the chance to in your life and in your relationships, because everybody needs a champion at
Yeah.
some time in their life.
We all
We
do.
all
We
do.
need It's like what we call an EMDR, our
Yeah.
allies. They're the people, not always people, but for me they are people who you just know they have your back.
Yeah.
You don't have to question it. They are behind you, cheering you on,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's silently and sometimes it's loudly, but
Yeah.
you know they're there.
Yeah. Sometimes people, sometimes dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's a lot of allies. People choose
Yeah.
dogs, like even a childhood dog they
Hmm.
had, but a dog is often an ally.
Yeah.
It's really
And
cool.
especially in the context of EMDR, right? Because, like, I know that my
Hmm.
dog is always going to be safe for me to touch.
Yeah.
Um, and so I can count on him in a way that maybe I can't, the people might not always be